The background and implications of the United States debt to China, which has been a source of concern and debate in recent years. First, it is important to understand that the United States has a large and growing national debt, which is the cumulative total of the federal government's annual budget deficits. As of my knowledge cutoff date of September 2021, the U.S. national debt stood at over $28 trillion, which is a significant amount. China holds a substantial portion of this debt, currently estimated at around 5% of the total. This means that China is one of the largest foreign holders of U.S. debt, along with Japan and several other countries. The reason why China holds so much U.S. debt is partly due to its large trade surplus with the United States. China exports more goods to the U.S. than it imports, resulting in a surplus of U.S. dollars in the Chinese economy. To prevent its currency from appreciating too much against the U.S. dollar, China buys U.S. Treasury bonds, which are a safe and liquid investment that pays interest. The implications of China holding so much U.S. debt are complex and controversial. On one hand, it can be seen as a sign of the U.S.'s dependence on China for financing its government spending. Some critics argue that this gives China significant leverage over the U.S., as it could potentially sell off its U.S. Treasury holdings or stop buying them, which could cause the value of the U.S. dollar to decline and interest rates to rise. However, other experts argue that this view is overly simplistic and that the relationship between China's holdings of U.S. debt and the broader U.S.-China relationship is more complex. For example, some argue that China's stake in the U.S. economy gives it a vested interest in maintaining economic stability and avoiding any actions that could destabilize the global economy. Additionally, some experts point out that the U.S. debt is actually widely held by a diverse group of investors, including domestic investors such as pension funds and foreign governments such as Japan and Saudi Arabia. China's share of the U.S. debt is significant, but it is not large enough to give it complete control over U.S. economic policy. In conclusion, the U.S. debt to China is a complex issue that is subject to debate and controversy. While China's holdings of U.S. Treasury bonds do give it some leverage over the U.S., the relationship between the two countries is multifaceted and cannot be reduced to a simple calculation of debt ownership. Ultimately, the U.S. government will need to address its national debt and budget deficits through a combination of fiscal and monetary policy measures, regardless of who holds the debt.